Your life lasts, but the sounds change. As long as I exist, you'll never stop the same again. Ignore the pain of the dumb conceit. The victim and joy is living in your misery. I am like a sound, I'm a movement, I'm a figure in the night. As time goes on, I will not be giving up. I will not have a change of mind. About the planting of the seed. Yeah, the planting of the seed. Yeah, the planting of the seed. Your claws are out, your teeth are clean. The facade's gone, but I know what lies beneath. Your underbelly is exposed. I'll open you up, leave you in your dying throes. I am like a hole, I'm a hard man, I'm a bastion of greed. As time goes on, I will not be giving up with the planting of the seed. Yeah, the planting of the seed. Yeah, the planting of the seed. Yeah, the planting of the seed. Yeah! I am like a shadow, I'm a golem, and I treat you with disdain. As time goes on, I will not be giving up. You're chosen by me. I am like a sound, I'm a movement, I'm a figure in the night. As time goes on, I will not be giving up. I will not have a change of mind. I am like a hole, I'm a hard man, I'm a bastion of greed. As time goes on, I will not be giving up with the planting of the seed.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. Yeah, that was me singing there. I hope I'm not too loud on the microphone, not too hot on the mic. This is only my second live stream I've done on multiple platforms like this, so I'm just like I'm trying to work out what's going on. So give me a bit of time, won't you? Because I haven't got a clue what's happening. I've been busy. We've all been busy, haven't we? Hello, everybody. There's people so weird. 2 spaces, 2 live streams, invites at the same time. Potato to potato. Watch JV. 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is that what this is now? I think it is. Hi, I'm going to take these off. So I hope that I'm going out to everybody, and I hope everybody can hear me. If you say a big hello in the chat, then that'll help me know what's actually going on. I see a couple of people talking in there. I see some thumbs up. That's a good sign, isn't it? Welcome to Alive with me, Johnny Vedmore. The song you were just listening to there, I haven't released yet. That's actually a pre-master version, so it's not been fully mastered yet. It's called Planting of the Seed. And it was recorded with my old band Bomb Alaska back in the day, and I still got a few tracks to put out, so like to stick out a bit of music. Of course, everybody knows. Hello everybody is turning up. I'm so glad to see everybody here. I'm so glad it's really exciting to be on multiple platforms, and it's been an exciting week, obviously. Hello, you all. Right, let me just go through a couple of names. Hello, Ellen. I love you. You're always here for me. Nevermore. Ah, you too. If only you know. Oh my God. I mean, come on. You guys keep coming back, and I'm really happy. Thank you for being like my core man. B, hello B Cunningham. How's it going? And Chromite, Honeysuckle Creek. Yeah, you come back all the time as well. You're awesome. It's working great so far. Daniel, hello Daniel again. And Hoshin, hello, hello to you. And oh, Malu, I'm so glad you could join me. I'm really, really glad you could join me. We spoke on the spaces yesterday, on one of the spaces that me and Champagne Joshi were doing on X. And those have been awesome. Oh my God, I've been really enjoying it. Though, I think we'll start off there, ladies and gentlemen, if we can. Let's start off with what's been going on. So today, of course, there was no Epstein file drops, no big ones. So they didn't do the Epstein file drop live on X. Instead, we're going to probably do something tomorrow where we come back and just review this file drop. Now, what I can tell of the file drops is that the file drops are going to be bit by bit. So there's going to be in, say, 3 weeks' time or a month time or whenever, there's going to be a load more file drops. There could be some just suddenly come up next week. Now, I don't know if these guys, Mario and Nick and the other guys, if they're going to actually still want to do this sort of thing, if this has worked out for them. I would say the first stream was pretty good. It got 6 million like tuning in, so that's not so bad. But these guys do work on bigger numbers, don't they? I'm sure they weren't just this is one of the most amazing like platforms. The Spaces is one of the most amazing platforms so far I've seen for communicating. So you can't fault them there. I like to see an advance, especially if it means communicating, especially when we've been censored for so long. So let's start off. What does anybody want to speak about? Well, I want to speak about the Mossad. I really do. Go Johnny, go go go! I'm always going. I'm always going. I'm gonna try and keep checking across too. Keep trying to see. I have to say that there's multiple platforms. Trying to work out which ones got what comes up in the speech here and stuff and what to respond at is quite get some used to. So the Mossad, shall we talk about the Mossad, because there's been lots about it. I mean, before I entered onto these panels, I already became like a bit of a pariah on the Epstein world, because I kept explaining, listen, it's not only the Mossad, also the CIA were there, and also MI6 were there, and also all these other state intelligence agencies were there. Wherever an intelligence man who was linked up like that goes, there's a load of state intelligence agencies from all around the world who want a little bit of that pie. And we know that he had really strong links to the CIA, and I know that if I follow it down, it seems that the CIA were really intricately involved in his operation, and so with the Mossad, 100%. Of course, they welcome. They're brothers. They're open arms. They love each other. So the CIA as CIA and Mossad brothers, and Epstein is the arms that wraps around them both, isn't he? He's a guy who one of the many guys. Same come up with Ghislaine Maxwell. Loads of people say, oh, Ghislaine Maxwell, she's obviously Mossad. She's obviously MI6, MI5, Mossad. She's obviously probably worked a little bit of this intelligence, a little bit of that. Obviously CIA in there too, because she's hanging around with all of these guys. All of these guys are in the same pond. So I keep saying this over and over again. But there is two things. Number one is there's Mossad absolutists, as I call them, who believe everything is Mossad, only Mossad, everything comes down to Mossad, and Mossad is in control of everyone. Whether or not anybody else has got any control doesn't matter. If they're attached to Mossad, it must be Mossad who's controlling them, and that is extreme. That's the extreme end of the view. That is the end of the spectrum here, where everything's Mossad, and this is where nothing is Mossad, and the reality, everybody lives in this area here, and there's barely anybody in this area. It's very interesting. Five Eyes, yeah. Gotta hop off and show you a live stream. Oh, that's nice. Thank you for sharing. All of them in the same pot, says Honeysuckle. Yeah, true. 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. True. Now, let me tell you something that's really interesting. My experience, especially with Mossad Unit 8200 over the past week, I entered onto the big stage. You enter onto the big stage, they start paying attention to you. Before, Nicole Youngkerman and people were going to court and they were hiding my content by having it pulled down by tackling YouTube in 5 countries in particular in Western Europe. And they had microtaskers on occasions. I don't know if they were of late, who were going through a lot of my Youngkerman pieces and having them pulled down. And then we're also going through other pieces of people who they were that overlapped and having them pulled down. Now, when I wrote about the Youngkerman meetings in One Nation Under Blackmail, I wrote that section in One Nation Under Blackmail. When I wrote that, it was obvious that it was obvious that there was going to have to be a sea change at that point, because Nicole Youngkerman was outed in print in a book. That's much harder for her to cover up and hide, isn't it? So that was one step of that journey. I knew it would go away. Now it's completely changed. They're not, but the Youngkerman videos that are up, I mean, touch wood though, they're still up, but normally they'd be pulled down within a couple of days of going up. I mean, you ask anybody, ask people like Jason Bamas, Tony Goslin, and others, they've had the videos pulled down within a couple of weeks, sometimes days, sometimes even quicker if they got Nicole Youngkerman. They've stayed up. And now I have Unit 8200 people following me around in these spaces and coming in. And I'm in an awkward situation. So I should say this to all of you. I'm in an awkward situation because I am pretty heavily trained in recognizing intelligence agency fuckery. I understand when they do something wrong or when they're doing something naughty, how to explain it to people. But most people don't. So I've had different interactions in the spaces where I know the guys or the ladies, Unit 8200, by different things. But if I try to explain it to people, I haven't had time to put everything together to be able to explain it easily. So it means that I'm on the hop. And often it's like one guy came in the room, one guy came in a space I was in. I was in a pro-Palestinian space, and he came in and he was interested in, I kept noticing interrupt whenever we got to certain subjects about the Mossad. He was interrupting and cutting in, and the host didn't really notice that. And I had been asked by a guy, it goes under the handle Truth Teller, into that room, and there was another woman in that room. But the main host, he was being told to put me on so that I can have a conversation. But I think he was a bit ego, so he took a little bit of a thing to it, and he kept putting this guy on who was disrupting. And this guy, his message was literally, "No, Johnny, Nicole Youngkerman, I know Ehud Barak, and I know Pinchas Bukwas. They're my friends. No, Carbine 911, they've not done anything wrong. They're not a very big company. They can't." That is Unit 8200. You could hear he had a smile on his face as he was doing it. And if you're in a room full of people in a space and you say you're friends with Ehud Barak and Pinchas Bukras, that space should erupt. That space should erupt with, especially if it's a Palestinian space, being like, what are they like then? Who are they? What do you know? If you're friends with them, how are you friends with them? How do you know them? How did you meet them? But no, everybody gets panicked because in these spaces, they're scared of offending people. And a lot of people are kind of scared of saying something and then being sued. And that's one of the biggest things. But if you're saying something that's true, you can't be sued. And if you're saying something they don't want other people to know, they're not going to take you to court unless they set it up right. And some of that's been set up. I had an interesting interaction yesterday. I'll tell you about the next interesting interaction. Really interesting interaction. I'll just have a look at a bit more of the comments. It looks like there might be a cry laughing. I hope that's something good. You are my fave in Mario Spaces. Decrad, thank you. Caught me off guard. I never find a new person I respect. They've been censoring me for ages, and there's a reason they've been censoring me, because I can explain things, and they don't want people who can explain things in there. Check audio lapse between lips and sound. I'm not sure what I can do about the lapse. I think it might be just because I'm running too many programs. Give me a... I don't understand why that's not going right. Right, give me a second. Let me just close down. Bop, bop, bop. Bop, bop, bop. Yeah, and it's that there. I actually had a fair few things open on other windows. Hopefully that should help out now. We'll see how it goes. Thank you for telling me, though. It is annoying, that is. There is a delay here. Sometimes Rumble or YouTube on TV doesn't have the delay. Yeah, it's not that bad. It's probably going to get better. So, Unit 8200. So a famous person came into the space yesterday. Me and Champagne Joshi have been doing our own space after an after party after the big Epstein room. We'd never hosted space. Neither of us had ever hosted a space. So like the room was ending abruptly, and we were like, well, shouldn't we just make our own? Quick, let's do it. And I couldn't do it. I was just like, I honestly, I went cockeyed trying to do it. And Joshi managed to get it up. And we had a couple of days where we had an amazing group of people coming in to speak to us. I mean, really beautiful human beings, people who I was really excited about speaking to, people who were really kind. I mean, so impressive. Really, really, really special people who, a lot of them are just lost. They don't know which direction to go. They don't know who to believe. They don't know what's going on, and they just want some advice. And they just want community. They just want to feel like they're not mad anymore. You know, they're watching the news all the time. All of their friends say what the news says, and they feel mad after a while. So a lot of people who feel, you know, completely mad. And it's been really enjoyable talking to these people. And then a famous person came in, a famous person, a woman who was on X Factor. I'm going to talk about it out loud because I think it's only fair. She came on. Her name was Katie Weissel. And she came on, and I looked at her profile when she came up to speak because I have a quick check. You know, I like to have a check. Now, the first thing that came out on her profile was the Unit 8200 owl, cyber owl. Companies like Cyber Reason, who I've reported on Unlimited Hangout when we did Dark Trace and Cyber Reason on there. They use these like cyber owls, and it's like a little theme around Mossad Unit 8200. They keep using this cyber owl. So when I saw she had a company called Owl, OHWL, and it was for victims. It was for victims of sex trafficking and things like that, you know, victims of abuse, victims of, you know, that was like, okay, first of all, I'm so with the victims of abuse, but the cyber owl confuses me. And I when she came up and started talking, I just, because I already like was looking for it, because I had seen that, I saw a load of deception. What I saw as deception. This is subjective. The way she was speaking said to me that she was pretending to feel like she was nervous when she was actually not nervous at all. That she was really confident in speaking, and she's confident in speaking in loads of different surroundings. So I found it very interesting. So I listened to her story about, she said she was in the music industry. She won X Factor and stuff, taken in by Simon Cowell. She had these things that happened to her, abuse that happened to her. She didn't quite give details about anything. She just kind of said stuff. She said stuff. And I was really interested by that because I was like, okay, I've noted certain manners of deception in the voice, like, you know, in the way she speaks, in her pattern. I've seen the cyber owl. That's freaked me out a bit. I've had a look through different people she's connected with, and they're nearly all Zionists. And she herself is Jewish. And I thought, where's this going to go? Because I don't trust what she's saying. The next step, it went there. Nearly straight away. I asked her 3 questions. I asked her 3 questions on purpose, because if you ask one question to someone who you think's being deceptive, they'll focus their answer on the one question. If you ask one question, then let them think about that, then ask another 2 questions, then it's harder for them to deceive because they've got things going around in their brain. You break up their brain, their thought pattern. Now that sounds like basic, but all of these things add up eventually. So I asked her about whether it's systematic, that sort of thing within the music industry. I think we all think abuse is systematic within the music industry, big time music industry, and has been in the past for sure, especially when it comes down to girls. Of course, loads of girls have suffered in abuse in the music industry. We know that, and boys, we know, we've heard all the rumors and all the stories. So I know that abuse exists. So I believe her there. I believe she's making an accusation. She's taking Simon Cowell to court, and she's making an accusation, and she's put down that she's now in legal training. Now that's another thing that people do when they don't want people to question them. Because if you question someone regular, you're not so scared. If you question someone who's got legal training, you might get sued, so you won't question them. And that's kind of like another trick that I see quite a lot. So I was like, okay, there's loads of issues here. And then there was multiple more issues. And basically, I didn't believe her. And I said to her, I asked about systematic abuse, but then I said, can you tell me if you've ever met Scooter Braun and if you've ever met Tim Westwood? And she was like, oh my god, the second person you just, oh my god, that's sent goosebumps through me, or shivers or whatever she said. She was pretty serious about it, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. Kay Vessel, yeah. So I said, I listened to her story, and I know Scooter Braun is suspicious as hell. He appears to be linked with intelligence, and I really didn't like the Manchester bombing stuff where he was involved, because the Manchester bombing, Ariana Grande was playing, Scooter Braun was in the building. It was all very suspicious, and it was a whole thing where there was a little pop, and then they said there was an explosion, and then Scooter Braun got on the microphone and said a few things, and Scooter Braun's got one hell of a reputation, and he's quite high up in the music industry, and if you wanted to seed things in and do operations, he would be a brilliant guy. So I asked her, do you think, and I've heard rumors of this, do you think he has any intelligence links? And she took the opportunity to say that not only he didn't have intelligence links, and now listen to this, think about this, but that Epstein was not at all linked with the Mossad and was not intelligence at all. Like Jeffrey Epstein, she went on to link the two instantly to say, and my response in front of everybody, which I did get a little bite back from saying this, because she's come with a story of virtue, a victim story. This is something that I see a lot. And I always say, well, I'm not going to automatically believe people, because then I would be sucked into loads of stupid situations. So I take each accusation individually. And when I looked at the deception and a couple of other things, it made me go, I'm not sure about this. And when she said that, I said to her, well, there's only one set of people who actually say that, or I said something along those lines. There's only one set of people who say Jeffrey Epstein is not the Mossad, and that's because they work for the Mossad or Unit 8200. That's because they're on that side and they're disinformation. So you're coming and you must be the 0.0. I messaged her outside. We had a backwards and forwards. I said you must be the 0.0001% of people in the world who don't think that he's intelligence. So that's really surprising, and it came out of the blue. She just brought it out of the blue. So we had a little backwards and forwards, and then I was told off by one of the speakers for haranguing her, however it was put, a bit. But I realized, okay, I went away and looked afterwards, had a quick scan round. Company just looks like a complete front. I can't see anything it's doing. She's the only person on the books. It's really just, I didn't trust it at all. A lot of the people she's hanging around with seem to be Zionist. And I noticed one thing. She's cares about trafficking, she cares about abuse, she cares about victims of serious offenses, and she's Jewish, yet she's not in the whole time she's been on Twitter, she's never mentioned Gaza, Palestine, or Israel. And due to the current situation, I found that really peculiar. So I thought, that looks like kryptonite to me. I'm going to ask her, and I bet you I won't get an answer. So I asked her behind the scenes, we went backwards and forwards, and I asked her three main questions. What's your view on Gaza and Palestine? Well, two main questions. What's your view on Gaza and Palestine? Kind of those were chopped up into two questions. And what about your company? And she came back and she told me about her company, and she refused. She didn't say anything. She's not going to mention Israel and Palestine. She has to stay away from it. So if anybody wants to ask Katie Weissel about what she thinks about Gaza and Palestine, I think that's very important, because I think and I described it to her, I said, you are a blank sheet of paper that has been presented to me. And that's extremely suspicious, considering the Unit 8200 cyber owl, your claim that Jeffrey Epstein isn't the Mossad, and all of the rest of the thing, or isn't related to intelligence and all the rest of the things. So I found that really interesting, and that's the type of thing that comes in Spaces. Now that's because, and we're talking about the Mossad, that's because the name of the game has changed, and I think a lot of these people are coming to check out what's going on, or have been put onto me by their officers, because I'm speaking out about all of this stuff and I'm becoming trouble for them. That's the most likely answer. So I want you to all be aware, when we go into Spaces, when we go into lives, when we go into these things, keep your ears open, keep your eyes out. Don't trust everybody's story straight away. I'm not saying don't trust it. Maybe I'm completely wrong and she is completely right. And there is no doubt at all that, you know, her accusations against Simon Cowell are very serious, but they have to be proven. And the deception part of it is something we've been dealing with all week, which is what we're going to get onto now. I'm going to go back to comments, look for a couple of comments, but that's what we're going to get on to now. We're going to talk about, not only, first of all, we can talk about the victims that have come up in these drops, in these Epstein drops, and the credibility. And then we're going to go on to the rest of the drop, and maybe what it is like as an op. So yes, okay, what we got? People talking about Katie, of course. I think her name's Katie. I've forgotten now, because I'm talking so much. Great to hear you again, mate, says Michael Brennan. Oh, he was awesome. He came on the big room as well. You got? Did you come on? Was it the big room, or was it one of the smaller? You come on one of the Spaces, and you gave your 5 pence worth, Michael, and it was awesome to hear a Scouse accent. Always worried to say Scouse. He might be from the Wirral or something, so he's from up near Liverpool way. Nice to hear an accent. JV, can I send out Spaces invite to your followers when you host, please? Yeah, of course. Oh, can you send out Spaces invites to your followers? I didn't know. Do I have to do it individually? I don't know these things. Ellen, tell me, do I have to do it individually, or is there a funny button? Because I don't, loads of this Spaces, XSpaces things, it doesn't seem to work well for me. She's annoying, says Tamsin. Oh, yes, she is. Tamsin, what is her name? Intuition no, says Honeysuckle. Unbelievably so. I've got such intuition with this. I'm not saying that I'm right every time, because I'm likely, but her, it was like 100%. Her kryptonite is asking her about Israel and Palestine. So if she's in Spaces, someone should go and find out what her because 100% she is fully on the side of Israel, passionate about it, and yet she doesn't say anything. And at the same time, she goes around saying Jeffrey Epstein isn't the Mossad. Oh, there's a little sign there that they, and I told her they employ people within your industry, former singers and etc., to do this work. So that's what it looks like to me. I was very honest to her. I mean, I am very honest to most of these guys. Fuck, half, 3/4 aren't really victims, says Ellen. This is something we're finding out, and this is what we talk about, credibility. I know who she is. That's Eliza Siep, a.k.a. Eliza Cutts, Eliza Mortland. Kay Vassal. Eliza Mortland is a so-called victim. She was X Factor, American Idol. Oh, hello. Her father's a congressman, and she's done rap video. Okay, this could be two different people. I know, heard, but I know Eliza Morland, yep. They talk about that in one of my other groups where I got some friends sitting around. That's an interesting one. Maybe they're the same people. Oh, the other thing about Katie Vassal. Her grandmother was the oldest prostitute alive. Now that I wanted to bring up in the space, but I didn't know how to. well, she's not alive anymore, I don't think. But when she was 84, she went on TV because she's been an escort for all of her life, including when she was old, and she was recorded, and she's down on Wikipedia as the oldest prostitute alive. If you go and look at Katie Vassal's Wikipedia page, you might see that. You'll also, if you look at Katie Vassal's tweets, find out that she edits her own Wikipedia page, of course illegal, and has been banned from editing her own Wikipedia page, which means that if you can find the account she got banned from editing under and look around that time, you'll probably find loads of stuff, probably links to Israel, just get a feeling. Eliza Morflin, so-called victim. Yeah. Next time, JV, call her Eliza, unless she has a UK accent. She does. She has a London accent. Thompson, is she American or British? She has a British London accent with Israeli twang. 100% Israeli twang in there. I know it quite well. I talk with loads of different people, and that's what I thought when she first started talking. And in further investigation, that's continued to be my read of her. Mate, I almost turned it off when she said that. I know. He is not talking about Eliza. Yeah, I'm talking about Kate, but Eliza's the same sort of character. Listen, there's loads of them. There's loads of these characters all around the place who are like, this is my name. I'm a victim of sex crime, blah, blah, blah. And the majority of victims of sex crimes hide their name, don't tell you what's going on, because it would, they're scared of these big people. If only UK, this person has the same exact background. Yeah, well, Wonder, you need to work with Ian and do a dig on her. She's definitely got skeletons. Yeah, could be wrong. I reckon people should start asking her what she thinks of Gaza and Israel until they get an answer. Eliza doesn't have a British accent. No. Thank you for explaining the why of your perspective. That's really interesting and valuable. Adrian. Hello, Adrian Parker. How are you? Thank you. They are always using a bit of truth to feed the lie, yeah. But also hiding behind a wall of virtue. If you see a wall of virtue up, my first thing when I see a wall of virtue is to be suspicious that the opposite exists. The opposite is true. If you have a wall of virtue up, I know people who have really been affected by crime. They don't put a wall of virtue up. It's a wall of shame. It's a wall of self-hate and shame. I know, I've been there. For the people who know me, know that I got groomed for like 2 years of my life when I was a kid. And when you want to talk about that, and I feel it now, it's a wall of shame and all of the rest of it that comes up. Not a wall of virtue. You don't protect yourself with that virtue unless it doesn't. What you do, you don't feed off that. You don't use it. You don't manipulate that. You feel really bad that it has to be there in the first place, and you apologize to other people all of the time when you try and explain it. Always a bit of truth to feed the lie. That's something to be proud of. Oldest prostitute alive, I know, isn't it? Isn't it amazing? Watch out for that Israeli twang. They do. I don't care so much about the names of the pedos, but I would like to understand the foreign intelligence links and how the corruption all works. Yes. And that's and that's why you know about the names of all the pedos. That's why you know, because otherwise you'd know all of the intelligence links. They don't want you having intelligence links. Midwest Mom too. Hello, Midwest Mom too. Thanks for sharing your childhood history. Although it breaks my heart, for you, it helps other victims. I know. Have you seen James O'Keefe tweet teasing FBI whistleblower in progress regarding Epstein evidence? No, I haven't. I would be very interested. But James O'Keefe, he seems like a bit of an op, doesn't he? Just a little bit of an op. I've seen his type come around these parts before. Yeah, my childhood story is pretty sad. I talked about it on Tessa Lena. Tessa Lena is my public counsellor, it seems. On the second one I went on with Tessa Lena, we talked about my childhood, and it was horrible. He was a prolific paedophile. He was a horrible man. I hate, again, there you go. I'm doing the thing. He sat in my house for 2 years and told me he was going to rape me when I was like 9, 10. and you know, when I finally told my parents, when he kept coming around, when I finally told I knew that eventually I was going to get raped. I knew it. I knew eventually they were going to leave me with him. So I just had to tell my mum because I was scared all of the time. And then it turned out they had molested a 3.5-year-old boy, and that just like that being told that information as a child, that while I hadn't said anything for that time, that wrecked part of my life. That put me on the road to being a drug addict. That put me on the road to severe anxiety. That put me on the road to being a pharmaceutical drug addict, being stuck on things like fluoxetine, clomipramine, mirtazapine, lots of other of the widely, like top dose, wildly heavy drugs, and probably took away about, I'd say, a good like 15 years of my life. Was like almost ripped apart. Everything else has been affected, but properly ripped apart by that one man, Paul Avanci. And he was obviously prolific. I'm even scared to look at, you know, I look into all of these guys. I look into pedophiles. I look into spies. I look into all of these things. But when it comes to looking into that's something I can't bear to look back. So it's shame, not virtue. So anyway, sorry to bring down the party. No, and I have to say, me and my younger version of myself, my 9-10-year-old version of myself, I've had long conversations about that now. Long conversations. So, God, victims. So let's talk about victims. Everybody who knows my work knows that there's been certain people within the Epstein case who have, well, first of all, they were my allies. First of all, they were my friends. First of all, they come along and start being like, oh, you're wonderful, the work you're doing. And I was like, mind blown. I mean, Maria Farmer come along and started saying stuff to me, and I was just like, oh, you're amazing. You're amazing. You survived all of this, and look, you're out speaking about it. And, you know, and that touched a bit of me. That touched the 9-10-year-old in me, you know, that touched that boy who couldn't speak up for other people. So that was like really, that was something that blinded me. And she came back, and Maria Farmer asked me to investigate Kirby Summers and see if I could find anything. Asked me through Whitney to do that. And I went off and went, all right then, because, you know, at the time, most of the time Whitney was like heavily researching. We were in Cardiff. Whitney was heavily researching the book. Me and my best friend were basically bringing up Whitney's daughter at that point. So I was just like, I wrote 2 articles in the whole time we were in Cardiff, because, and barely did anything else because me and my buddy were looking after Whitney's daughter all the time, but while she was working hard and pregnant with my son. So I was like, okay, I'll get to go and have a look and see what's going on with Kirby Summers. And I discovered a load of things, Clinton links, Hurricane Katrina fund, that I don't know if any Hurricane Katrina victims actually got the money from that fund. Yeah, it was one of the biggest at the start and was backed by the Clintons themselves. She had turned in circles. There's a lot before she doesn't want to talk about and she won't want to talk about. And, you know, big links. She was in New York realty scene during the time Epstein and others were property developers in realty in America. So Kirby Summers obviously had lots of links. And then there was the raccoon hating and a few other things. And the fact that she admitted on her blog, so she explained on the blog, that she was never, because she claimed to be, have been kept as a sex slave and abused by Ira Rickless, who is a very rich man, also connected with Epstein and Wexner through different businesses, not very closely. And she had said that she had been abused and raped and kept as a literal sex slave. And then I discovered a blog where she admitted that from years ago, where she admitted she was actually his mistress, and he would buy her clothes and kept her, and she had loads of money and went on holidays all the time. And she explained literally the life of a mistress, describing it as the life of basically a mistress. Basically, you read it and it's just insane. So that was that made me go, okay, you know, Maria Farmer said you should go look over there. I went and looked over there and I found something. So that's very interesting. Maria Farmer must be right, and that kind of like propped it up. And it was only when Maria Farmer tried to put another person in touch with me so that I would report their story, and then it was actually for Whitney. He asked if could go on the Unlimited Hangout podcast, and Whitney asked me to verify him, and that she never asked me to verify anybody. Whitney never for her podcast. I wasn't involved. She always kept that to herself. So I went and I did it, and George Tonks, as this guy's called, don't bother giving him any fuel. He's got 7, 8 different identities. He's got loads of convictions. Been in jail for years. Got out, I don't know, a fair few years ago, like probably about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe less. And convicted for loads of fraud schemes, for one which was basically a sex compromise operation, and he wasn't who he said he was. And so I went to Whitney, said, "Oh, look, he's just this guy. He's Ian William Stone and this other guy. He'd even tried to claim that he was he had become the adopted son of John DuPont." He's just wild. He claimed he had been on this soap opera in the 1980s, a famous like detective show. I can't remember what it's called, Mrs. Blue or Detective Blue or something like that. I can't remember what it was called, but I went back and looked at the time at it, and he wasn't. Even the kid, there's no kid on it who even fits his description. It's just like he was a compulsive liar. And that's what led me onto the Stanley Pot. For those who know, that's Maria Farmer putting this fraudster and demanding that he go on the podcast even after it verified that he's a fraudster, caused us extreme issues, caused me real issues. She turned on me, blocked me, started to saying I was the most nastiest person in the world because of I wouldn't find she doesn't talk to George Tonks now because they both hate each other, and she calls him a liar and a fraud just like anybody else. And then sometimes she's working with him again. And the people who have pushed this guy onto me is not only Maria Farmer, it's also people on the other side. It doesn't make any sense. Lady Victoria Hervey has tried to push. Nick Bryant, the author of Franklin Scandal, has tried to push George Tonks on me. Madness. These guys ruin their reputations, whatever they've got left of them, by pushing fraudsters upon people, and it seems like a big operation. So that obviously led me to question victims. My experience with Maria Farmer got worse and worse. She went on a campaign of hate against me. Now she's, everybody ignores her. And it's a really serious thing because it's the downfall of the Epstein case. She was the bellwether of the Epstein case to an extent for me, because she not only exposed herself, led me to investigate in Stanley Pottinger, because Stanley Pottinger and her were in a relationship and were registered in the what was it called? Federal Antitrust Enforcement LLC, which was a private company, not federal at all. And she was actually registered in the business, and she had her own website, mariafarmer.com, when she's supposedly in hiding, and she has her own Facebook, and she had her own Twitter. She was tweeting out, and she was going and displaying her art to the exact people she's in hiding to in 2006 in the Take Home a Nude with Eileen Guggenheim there. Vicky Ward, who wrote the article, is one of the judges on the panel of this. They're all friends. They're all friends. Yet she was in hiding from them. And so that thing broke the paradigm apart. And then recently, two things happened, both to do with two of the other named victims. So Sarah Ransom got in contact via a proxy. Well, my proxy got in contact with her, Andrew. He's a lovely boy. Lovely, lovely man. One of the nicest people I know in the world. A friend, dear friend now, and I will love him forever. And he thought it would be good if she spoke to me because he could see that she was scared about something, and I'm willing to help her you know, in what she needs. If she was innocent, if any of these victims are innocent and they want to have a conversation with me and they want help from me, then they come to me and say, "This is my story," and I either believe them or not. And then if I believe them, which is most likely if they're telling the truth, I'll believe them because I'll be looking for all the subtle signs, and they'll all show themselves because that's how people are. And then I will say, yeah, no problem. I'll do whatever I can. You're a victim, and I can help you. But when people, you know, a lot of people don't want to get in contact. They don't want to have that first because they know what's going to happen. I even sent behind the scenes, and I know she watched it. She was the only one who watched it. I sent Sarah Ransom a video, a private video on YouTube, and I said, "This is just between me and you." It was only her. Like I say, it was only one person who watched it, and I basically laid out what I fought for an hour, and said I wanted to speak to her and I can be a help, and she didn't get back to me, and I was like, "All right, well that doesn't mean anything." But then when the dumps come out this week, it made a lot more sense. The other thing that happened was Virginia Giuffre basically showed her allegiance to Maria Farmer publicly in tweets that were kind of, she knew we were all tagged into all of this group that hangs around with me and is I have a little group of people. It's a very small group of people who have all been befriended by Maria Farmer and had Maria Farmer turn on them and try and destroy their lives, say the nastiest things about them and try and smear them online. It's a recurring theme. So when Virginia sided publicly with Maria about stuff and made it public she was with Maria, even though it's already been outed about Maria, probably, you know, all of the different lies she's told, it said to me that something coming up in this drop was going to change the game, was going to change everything, and that's what we're here with now. It changed the game. I think this drop itself was an eye-opener for a lot of people. I'm going to go back just before I continue with this. It's an eye-opener for a lot of people. A lot of people did not expect at all, sorry, my computer's being funny, did not expect at all like how much the credibility of the named victims would end up being questioned. And they were questioned a lot. Right, I'm just clicking around here. Sorry about the clicking here. I'm just trying to see if... okay, so on various platforms, of course, you could... let me mute that a bit. You can always super chat and support me. You can like and subscribe. You can share it around the place. I need all the help. I need funding. I need people to help fund this enterprise. I'm working really hard, and so I do need your guys' help. So any support would be really good in any way. Newspace.com or johnnyvedmore.com. You'll find Buy Me a Coffee or Patreon. Those are the easiest ways to support me. Or you could just like chat. There's also other donation devices on there. But any way you can support me, if it's super chat or whatever, I love you forever. God. Soon, if you're a patron or a subscriber on any of the platforms, you'll get on to the credits of the next Searching for Stanley, to the next season of Searching for Stanley. Right, okay, wait, before I go to the next stage, let me just have a little look and see what's being said here. Thank you for sharing your childhood. Oh, we were around there. Right, okay, so Gufram Ahmed, hello. Hi. ISI and Mossad gave some methods corrupt people, honey trap, blackmail, and etc. ISI, I suppose you're talking about Pakistani police there, Pakistani intelligence. Even though you live on, reliving any trauma, a traumatic experience brings back the feelings of the moment. People do break free from that, though it takes much work and post-traumatic growth. Yeah, it'll well you up. Ah, Rachel, hello. Hi, Johnny. Thanks for sharing and all your hard work. Keep up the good fight. Oh, we talked a couple of times yesterday. I really enjoyed talking to Rachel, and she's got a really good, like, vibe. She's really, really focused. Like, Oh, oh my God. Oh, so well, someone's very nice. Um, oh, Daniel, mate, thank you. I really mean it. You will make me cry. You will make me cry. Like I say, I'll put you down on the next credits for searching for Stanley, because people who are funding me, they are helping me create, and I work constantly, and a big donation like that is really appreciated, fella. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much. I mean it. Um, okay, right. Sorry, I'd be a bit welly up, well up a bit. Um, Okay. Most stay in stress mode. Yeah, most people who have experienced that sort of thing do stay in stress mode. Susie Thomas, dear God, Johnny, I empathize. All my love, Susie. I know, I know, I know, I know. I'm going to say my age out loud. Oh, I'm 43. I'm going to be 44 in a few months. I've been through loads, and my scars and my pain, that when I talk to you now, if I didn't like keep up, it's every now and again got to lift up a wall of emotion, because I'd cry my little eyes out right now if I think about it too much. So I've got kind of like, you've got to make like barriers in your mind so that you can speak about this sort of stuff publicly, and it takes a long time to be able to do all of that sort of stuff. And even now it's hard to speak about this sort of stuff, but still I have spoken to so many people who realize that I've had the same sort of experience, and then they tell me their story in full. And honestly, I've not got through this on my own. I got through this by hearing other people's stories and taking courage from other people's stories. So this is part of a cycle. This is why people talk to each other as well. You never learn just from your own life. You learn from the terror, horror, the hardship, and the love and happiness and all the good things from other people's lives too. Um, there's a big exclamation mark from Mercurius. Hello, Mercurius. Hiya. Um, and Maria Farmer, says Alan. Whoa. Right, Maria Farmer, who said at the start, when she appeared on the Unlimited Hangout, well, podcast, it was Whitney. Whitney did a interview with her that went really famous, and she said loads of things. Some of the things she said was, all Jews she knew were paedophiles. And things like that, really base level anti-Semitism, not actual constructive comments about Judaism and the issues that Judaism creates when it like put into another culture. No constructive criticism. It was just Jews are bad. And now she's converting to Judaism and she's reading the Torah. Yes, I'm a little sus about all of that. Oh, hello. There's some good questions coming up here. Honeysuckle Creek. If you haven't got a book in the work, you got the stories. Yeah, I got loads. I got 3 books that I want to write, and no time to write them at the moment, because at the moment I'm trying to look for some sort of work so I can actually afford to live. That's the process that I'm going through at the moment. If I had the time, listen, if I could go and write. There would be some really good like books coming out, and I got a load of articles lined up the wazoo. It's just I keep getting sidetracked too. Who exactly is Wexner? Wexner is an extremely complicated character. He basically he helped run his dad's shop. That's how he started off. His dad had a clothes store, and his dad was an awful manager, and he come along and said, this is such a terrible story as well. He was like to his dad, you're terrible, you don't know how to run things. And his dad wouldn't change things because his attitude was so bad. So Les Wexner went off and created a competing store to his father's and ran his father's business into the ground. And then he created, all of the limited brand and all of the rest of the famous things, including basically he was one of the ones to first really look at marketing more revealing clothes to very young girls, between the ages of, like, from childhood up till about 12. Really provocative clothes were then supplied by his brand, and he was also working within Jewish groups in America, for pro-Israeli purposes, and eventually came into the New York scene in about 86, 87, where he's welcomed in, and that's probably the time where he's really working with Jeffrey Epstein the most, and that's roughly when Jeffrey Epstein starts to get funding from more Mossad style backing, including Les Wexner. But Les Wexner could be funding Epstein so that everybody thinks he's the Mossad, and they can say that while he does other things. I would say that Epstein was good at making his own money too. So really, the funding that Wexner gave Epstein was probably about 80% of his entire wealth, which is massive, massive. But it didn't matter to people like Epstein and Soros. That sort of wealth doesn't matter, and especially not if it's all made from intelligence and it's all just going to keep going round in a circle. And that's exactly what's happened. That's exactly what happened. And so eventually he basically became the main funder of Epstein. Just so you know, Maria is running a shadow space with O'Keefe during those. Running a shadow space. Yeah. What? You saying Maria Farmer's running a shadow space? With O'Keefe, is that true? Are you really? Oh, Mario. Oh, I sorry. I got the. I I need glasses. I thought you meant Maria Farmer. I was like, no, she'd never go into one of the spaces. I don't think she'd ever, because I might pop in there and she'd have to run out, or anybody else who's ready to work, and they would say, yeah, but can you tell us about this or this and this and this? And she goes on people's podcasts, and then straight away she tells them to delete loads of different things that she said. So that's happened with everybody. It's quite crazy. Maria was vicious. Yes, she was. I could listen to JV stories all day. Oh, Mama Bear. Well, I have been on Spaces. You're lovely. I try and keep things interesting. I don't tell you about all the boring stuff. That's for sure. There's lots of it. Yep. She talked too much. Yes. Going to Rumble. Okay. Hurt people. I was invited to Rosslyn Chapel. Ooh, that's interesting. Mercurius. And I took through all Masonic documents only days before the Twin Towers fell. I was unable to take this opportunity after giving my work in good faith to a wonderful conference in Orkney. I left UK on the 9/11, saw the first tower fall in my auntie's lounge room. And the Rosslyn Chapel, isn't that the one in the end of what was it called? The Da Vinci Code? Is it the Da Vinci Code? Yeah, which is the famous one that's on the Rose Line, or however you call it. You are everywhere now, Johnny. Well, maybe Paulie. Hello, Paulie. Nice to see you around. Nice to see you again. Back again. Yeah. Getting around there. Getting around now. Hey, Johnny. Better late than never. Go for it, mate. Dragos, thank you for arriving. All I have is a whole lot of love. Well, Mercurius, you have stories as well. So if you ever want to tell me, DM me. You're on Twitter right now saying this. So DM me if you want to go on, tell me a story or two. Rad Mario is a well-paid shill. Probably he's a Zio. No harm to use the space, but be aware. I agree, Malu. I am aware of how the big fish act and who they are. And very interesting. Did you hear the sentence that come up? I was there for all of the Epstein drops, yeah, and I haven't seen Ryan Dawson come in at all. And Ryan Dawson hates like Whitney, and so obviously probably automatically hates me. And there's always been like, it's all Israel all the time, it's all Israel. And when on the space, I think it was Rick said to me, Nick, was it Nick? Yeah, Nick said to me, oh, listen, we talked to Ryan Dawson yesterday, and he was talking to us about the Mossad. What do you know about that? And I thought, what's Ryan Dawson talking to these guys behind the scenes? That's interesting. Didn't expect that. And it threw me off guard. I didn't actually answer the question because I thought he wasn't on last night. So when were they talking to him? Oh, that's interesting. It's interesting. He must have felt like he had to say, it's all the Mossad, because that's probably what he had to do. A lot of his mates actually tried to have a go at us. One of his guys and a couple others have had a go at me in the past because I say that it's the CIA and the Mossad, and anything else he wanted to be Epstein was like multiple agencies. They don't like that. They get very angry. Yeah, super, Daniel. Thank you. Kind of you to do so, but we very much appreciate the sacrifice you're making. I love you. Thank you. I will keep making it. I will keep doing. I'm when I say making sacrifice, this is my work now. This is what I'm doing now. You are brave, courageous, and strong, Johnny Honeysuckle. Thank you. Healing wounds. I mean, really deep. And never able to clear, but we put them in the heart-shaped box. We do. Hey Johnny, good to catch you live. I'm just catching up on 1.5 speed. I've done that. I accidentally listened to Dan Carling on 1.5 speed. What's that? That horrible histories or whatever. I don't know what is a podcast. I listened to it by accident 1.5 times, and I thought he was the quickest speaking person around. For ages, well, for an hour, I listened to it on 1.5. I was just going, wow, this guy can speak at high speed. So dumb. Right, I hear that. I know. Thank you for your efforts getting this. Hey, Mama Bear, thank you, lovely. I bought both volumes of Whitney's books, but I've enjoyed listening to you so much on Spaces that I haven't been able to dig into those books yet. You have a great way of explaining things. Thank you. It's complicated between me and Whitney because she's my ex. So we are having disputes outside because we share a son, and she's not being very nice about things at the moment. But I helped research those books, and some lines of those books I read, and some paragraphs I wrote myself, though that's not noted. Just special, critical input. But Whitney, I want her supported. If you want to support Whitney, I don't want to get her down. We've got our own issues. She said loads of horrible things. I was angry in return. Now I'm coming to a point where I'm like, I want my son to be happy and safe. That's all that concerns me. I want my son to be happy and safe. Relationships come and relationships go. People get on or people don't. I want my son to be safe. Thank you for the thank you there, Mama Bear. Gulfam Ahmed, what are your thoughts on Jordan Peterson? Oh, you don't ask me that. Do you believe his support for Israel is influenced by his narrative, academic background in Bible interpretation, or do you think there's another reason behind it? I'm going to skip through a couple and I'll come back to that. I will. Tell me if I don't. Mario is covering the border security stuff with O'Keefe. Yeah, not a surprise. When you said O'Keefe, Ken popped in mind. He spoke about Gaza a few weeks ago. Same O'Keefe. Robert Edward Grant, Crack. Da Vinci Code, all about pyramids and life secrets. Yeah. Mercurius, the wounds are big, the tears are rivers, and the laughter is furious indeed. And then his next, indeed, not as deep a researcher as he presumes, or maybe as a competitor. You're a good man, Johnny. I suppose you talk about Ryan Dawson there, but he's just a bit like, everybody's stealing my work, everybody's doing this, it's all mine. And that's Ryan Dawson for me. It just gets like, I like working with people. You're a good man, Johnny. I love you, Honeysuckle. Much love to your son. Yeah, man. Much love to Rowan. He's a good boy. JP is getting paid by Zionist groups. Okay, ha. So we want to talk about Jordan Peterson, do we? Seeing as you think, if anybody here loves Jordan Peterson, leave now. Let's see. One person just left. Have we got another one to leave? Oh, 2 have just arrived. That's a good sign. 3, 4 just arrived. Everybody wants to know about Jordan Peterson. I'll start off by saying Jordan Peterson follows me on Twitter. He only follows about 2,000 people. I'm one of the people he follows. That's bizarre. I haven't been able to work it out why he's following me, but he's following me. I watched every one of his Bible lectures 3 times. I watched all of his lectures on Solzhenitsyn, on psychology, on everything that I could watch about Jordan B. Peterson. I read 10 Rules for Life, and I was doing all of that because I found Jordan Peterson weirdly on the other side of the fence to me, and I wanted to explore that side of the fence, including the intellectual dark web. Brett Weinstein, Eric Weinstein, Ben Shapiro, Joe Rogan to an extent, Dave Rubin, some of those people. And I found out that Eric Weinstein was an extremely dodgy guy from Investigating Knows. Eric Weinstein's interesting. Used to work for the UN, doesn't mention that, and was heavily involved in Epstein's Edge while it was 100% funded by Epstein. And he says, like, Eric Weinstein says, oh, I met him once in a room, but I don't know anything about him. You know, so I thought he was suspicious. And it's like, that's such an Eric Weinstein thing to say, because Eric Weinstein met him a fair few times, no doubt about it, and it would have been at Edge, and it would have been about science stuff. And then he, you know, that group has lots of weak links. Jordan Peterson himself, I think he knows psychology really well, that he knows how to create an argument that you can't, that, you know, like David Blaine uses 2 or 3 magic tricks to blow your mind. You're not only seeing him make a coin disappear, but he's actually using a couple others to make it appear in your pocket or something along those lines, and things like this, you know, sleight of hand and other things. But there's loads of other tricks. These big magicians do tricks so you can't see what's wrong, the error, the magic, what they call magic, the tricking, the fallacy. So Jordan Peterson is like a magician with fallacy. That's what I find. He's very good at making an argument that sounds solid, that everybody can say, yeah, that sounds completely true. But if you really, really pull it apart, you realize there's 2 slight fallacies leaning against each other. There's just a little bit, just a little bit of a noticeable falsehood mixed in with a supposition or something along those lines. And he knows psychology really well, so he knows what people look for. And I would think it's not. I think he's good at doing that. He's good at working out who and what to describe to people to get them to believe what he's said. Now, I think overall, I think he's positive, and I don't think that's because he's probably, yeah. He seems like pro-Israel and all of that. Loads of people are. Not, you know, for me, I'm not interested in that, and don't think that following some of his work means you have to follow him down that road. But his psychology lectures, his Bible lectures, and other things allow you to see how Jordan Peterson thinks about things. And then now the later stage Jordan Peterson, because when he disappeared for that period and just before, he started to change certain things quite dramatically about himself. I mean, it was bad times for him, but he started to change and become seemed much angrier and much more likely to go with the establishment line, like with the vaccines or with Israel, etc. That's a very interesting thing, that there was a change. Before that change, Jordan Peterson did a load of good work that you should watch. After that, you should pick and choose, but you should take it knowing that there was a change. That at one point he was explaining to people how to better their life, and later on he was doing a lot more judging and using fallacies mixed in. So that's what I say about Jordan Peterson. JP. Oh, yes, JP. JP. Ha 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 ha. There's a laugh in the chat. I love the fact that I'm getting these messages from both X and from YouTube, and I hope it's still going out on all of the other platforms. Did you listen to him till he gave the go against ahead for genocide? Then it became obvious. I think you missed out an eye. I did listen to him until he gave the go, gave Netanyahu the go ahead for genocide. Then he became obvious. Another virtue, high horse, hypocrite, no doubt at all. Johnny's a wonderful. I'm about as wonderful as the actions that I manifest, isn't it? But thank you. Yes, and Darren Brown, dark. Yeah, Darren Brown's an interesting one. I'll read all his work. Read 10 Rules for. I've read all of it. Read 10 Rules for Life is one hell of a boring book, though. I mean, I thought it was going to be a life-changing experience by what it had been sold to me. But by the time I got to it, I'd listened to Jordan Peterson so much, I was like, well, this is like you giving your like baby talk to people rather than Papa talk. Um, Sorry, that sounded baby talk. Oh, that's so good. I can judge Jordan Peterson. Ooh. Sorry about that. Yeah, okay. They think the shadow of the Nomen is the shadow of the psyche, a mistaken presumption made by Jung. There's a lot of mistaken presumptions. 12! 12 rules for life! Yeah, 10 rules for life. I know it's in there. Read it ages ago. And it was like this. Oh, this is just... It just isn't as good as the Bible lectures. I want to go back and watch the Bible lectures again. Not even, I'm not a religious person, but yeah, 12. Shout it at me, Chauncey. Shout it. Agreed. He is using his following to push on an agenda. But don't we all? I'm pushing on an agenda. My agenda may be a little bit more like I like to say it's truth. I like to say that because that's what I think I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is discover the evidence, the facts, put it out there, and see what it looks like next to things that aren't fact and just like are made up or supposed. And but it's still my agenda is truth, is a truther agenda that's uncompromising and causes trouble all over the place for people and could sometimes cause more trouble than it's worth. You know, they're not even, not only negative actions can end up with negative consequences. You know, I end up in a load of actions where it's like, that was the right thing to do, but it just caused mayhem. You know, that's how my last relationship ended. I said, I decided this is the right thing to say, animal mayhem broke loose. It happened a couple of times. Agreed, he's using his following to push agenda. Any thoughts? Says Zamatoshi. We've talked a couple of times now on the spaces, and I get a feeling, Zamatoshi, and I could be wrong, by the sound of your accent, you sound like you're from the East Midlands. That's where I think you're from when I hear you, but we've had a good conversations. Any thoughts on all of the Sint Bellingcat crowd? Yeah. It's hard. The Bellingcat crowd we'll have to do an investigation about that sort of stuff. There's something currently that comes up in my mind, a certain award that Bellingcat criticized, and I've been looking at it recently and being like, yeah, I can see why they criticized it, but it all seems like intelligence. So why would intelligence be criticizing intelligence, and what does this all mean? And Bellingcat works like that. They're intricate intelligence operation that carefully manipulates and uses intelligence to push their agenda. That means other intelligence assets, other people do stuff, and then they'll say something about them. That makes everybody not look like intelligence. I know that sounds strange, but that's how it is. Also, Bellingcat, sometimes they've aimed at good people, but that's because they need to create a name for themselves. It's like I was saying on about cover and stuff. Sorry, my cats. Yeah. Okay, come sit up here. It's like I say about cover. It's like I was saying about to Tira, that lawyer on the Mario Spaces, who was very angry with me about stuff. David Bowie created cover for himself. David Bowie, not David Bowie. Don't get that wrong. David Bowie, the lawyer for the Epstein victims' lawyer, he created issues for himself. He created cover for himself. Sorry, by doing good things for the first 10 years of his career, and then he does all the intelligence stuff afterwards. That's how it goes, running cover. Agreed. Any thoughts on the Bellingcat? We can talk about that more, though, Zama. We could talk about that more. That's for sure. Oh, Jay Frat in the house, the conservative hippie. Oh, duh. I commented reply on Twitter. You aren't the technological you aren't the technologically challenged chap. That's true. That's true. Look, I've done it. I've done it. Look, you're commenting on Twitter, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm reading them from all platforms. I'm a new man. I understand things now. Um, Mercurius, Pulp Fiction. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Well, all of this is Pulp Fiction. It's so crazy what we're going through. Thoth is the source. Check with Thoth teachings for the truth of biblical origins. Yes, honeysuckle. Very interested about that. But I watched a few videos about it recently, and it made my mind go melt inwards. And I promise to watch more about Thoth. Carter Glass is here. Truth is an agenda that works. I like it, yes. Indeed, Bellingcat. Smoke U026 mirrors. I don't know what that means, but you said smoke. That'll get me banned from YouTube. Zamatoshi, great mate. Glad you shared the digging. Yeah, I'd love to share in your own dig for anything. If anybody ever wants to send me information, my DM's open on Twitter. You can go newspace.com or johnnyvedmore.com. You can leave a comment, you can say, and I will respond to you, and we'll have a conversation. I'm always interested in a direction where people go, I don't know about this, and this looks like this. If you've worked it out, maybe no one else has worked it out. If you look out there and no one else has worked it out, and you want someone to work it out, come to me. Maybe I'll go, oh my God. Maybe I'll say, well, there's this and then there's this and there's this and there's this. So it's not that interesting for me. But there's been plenty of times where I've gone, oh my God, and my brain explodes. And then talk about the white helmets and the bullshit that went down in Duma. Well, hello. Well, Mercurius, I would then have to talk about the Bellingcat thing, wouldn't I? Because there's some links. What I was saying, I found out something, and then they criticized something, and there was a load of stuff about white helmets and all stuff like that. But when I looked into it, Syria is a hellhole, a cesspit on all sides. Let's say this, all sides. Every side of armed forces, media, every different area of response to the Syrian war was co-opted in some way in weird ways as well. A lot of people who were commenting on that on all sides, I am suspicious of, you can say. That's all I'll say. Yeah, good worky, John. Oh, look! How the ads come up? Ha ha! Yeah, great work. I love it. We should get together. Have a chat sometime if you want me to come on your thing. Terrible is a grifter. So is Mario Nawfal. I think it's Nawfal. It's Fal rather than Hull, but maybe you missed the letter there. Listen, I don't know these guys from Adam. They asked me to turn up. I was like, all right. They've all been very nice to me. It's pretty clear that I'm not necessarily. It's pretty clear that it doesn't make any sense. Because I'm not on the same side as them, am I? Right. Tell you something. I got told to go in that room by a friend who realized the opportunity. She's a good friend, and I know her backstory. And I went into that space, and I sent them my work, and they put me straight up, and they let me say whatever I wanted. And there was one account in there that I've already tagged as an Elon Musk sock puppet. He's actually Elon Musk. And so I put very early on, while this person was in the room, I mentioned Nicole Junkerman and SpaceX to test out the ground that she's brought into SpaceX. And they kept me on and didn't say anything. So I was like suspicious. So that account left soon after that. So maybe it was a sidestep out the door. But yeah, I know that to be an Elon Musk sock account. There's a couple of them. If you keep your eyes out, especially in spaces, keep your ears out, he speaks. Zamatoshi also telling their silence on Gaza, considering they were also prolific on Syria. Yeah. Thumbs up. Tara drives me nuts. Oh, Mama Bear. She was there for a reason. The interlocking camp stuff yesterday was hilarious because she had to, Oh, she has to try and find a way to. We all just like the group of independent media people who were in that room completely batted down what she said every single time. That's why it felt. If you want to know what the whole thing felt like, if I said there was an essence, it was an essence that the sea change. There's a sea change in how they're deciding to deal with people like me. They know they can't keep doing this. They're going to make a martyr, messiah, or something out of somebody. Probably not me, of course, but somebody else is probably going to end up being known as the most important journalist in the world because of how censored they are, and that keeps happening, keeps popping up. So I think they've decided, as much noise as possible, as much info as possible, put out everything and see where it lays. And I described it within the shows as and later after parties as kind of like a feeling like they're creating some sort of part of a great reset in the like reset of information and where we all stand on that information. And okay, we're coming up to the end here. If you got any questions, I'm not sure if I've talked about. I would like to run down quickly on a couple of things. Blaze it, bro. Yes, I do every day. Yes, true. But calling a sarin attack and not PPE is yes. Many sock accounts. Yes, many sock accounts. It was gross listening to people defending their favorite clown. Yes. Listened very carefully. Dr. Shiva, systems scientist as president. Oh, God, that's a big one. I should be doing a podcast with Dr. Shiva soon. He's we've been trying to set something up for ages. We keep crossing paths, and RFK stuff. When RFK started to expose himself, because I already knew. I already know there's loads more coming about RFK Jr. If you're taking money from RFK Jr., don't take money from RFK Jr. If you think I had someone come to me recently and say, we want you on board this new project, and they told me about what the project was, and the only person who was willing to fund them would be RFK Jr. And it all seems like the same thing. One funder funds them all, one fund to bind them. If you know what I mean. Little bit of the all-seeing eye there. More about RFK Jr. He seemed legit. Yeah, you want more about RFK Jr.? Yeah, he did seem legit. I had personal issues. For those who know about my breakup, my breakup happened partly because for loads of different reasons. But one of the last ones was we argued for about a week and a half about RFK Jr. I wanted to write a series of articles about him because I discovered a load of things, including when I was researching for One Nation Under Blackmail. And every time I did, Whitney stopped me because, you know, she does work for CHD and conduits of RFK Jr. Like, even though she's very good, Catherine Austin Fitz is very good in Solari Report, they're still in bed with the same people, funded by the same people. They all lead back to the Democratic Party. She was in the Democrat Party as well. And so these people were really complicated for me because I both found that I was in awe of RFK Jr. because of his father and his uncle, and yet I didn't know RFK Jr., so I went back in history and looked into him and discovered he was around Epstein's house a lot. He caught the flights a couple of times, and it seems like it was during the times where he was having lots of affairs, and his wife was really depressed. And there's a lot of really sadness in that story. So I've gone back in time and I've started to research. And can I say that at the moment, I think it's going in exactly the direction that I thought it was going in. I haven't tried that. I've just done the same thing I normally do, which is I go back to the start. I take away all my emotion. I just go through the details. I put them in chronological order. And at the moment, I'm at his recruitment by authorities. That's where I think I am. At the moment, I'm at his early years where he's first getting recruited by an agency. And that's where I am. I think if you're young and your dad and uncle have both been killed by American agencies, you'll start thinking that maybe you want to work with them rather than not. Heard his argument for Israel and lost me there. Yeah, RFK Jr. was raised in the inner circus. Yeah, they killed the people around him. The bed is huge. Plays both sides. Yes. So, right, gang. We're approaching an hour and a half here. And so I wind it up a little tiny bit. Prototype, CIA, MI6, Mossad, equally implicated, or one is more involved in the Epstein web. This is what the argument is. So if you look at it from the outside, you have to realize that they already knew what the outside looked like when they were creating the operation. So they have to give themselves a cover, and then another cover, and then another cover, and it's Russian dolls all the way down, yeah? Not to say Russia's involved in this, but it's Russian dolls all the way down. Turtles all the way down, mate. You reveal one, you find another. You reveal one, you find another. And you go on like that. And so the cover that I think they were running was that they had already worked out Operation Condor was a good fit for multipolar operations, that they could work together, CIA, MI6, Israel and stuff. They can work together on loads of different fronts. But in America, it's got to look like it was Israel. If you do any intelligence operations in America, you've got to hand it off to your Israeli partners, because you're not allowed to do domestic surveillance or domestic operations on your own soil without special permission. So to avoid that, they just go to their Israeli partners and they do that. And then the Israelis, in return, get lots of different things from the American dominance and hegemony. So when people say, is it more one or the other? It's a union, and that union has like possibly part written contracts, unwritten contracts, but nuance to it. And so I'd say that Epstein, he's born in America. I say, you know, he's basically educated by the CIA, run through CIA programs, looks like he's running the East Coast as an interlocutor for the CIA, but he's obviously heavily funded by Mossad. He's working constantly with members of the Mossad. He's obviously, this is why I think he's an interlocutor. He's a person who helps these agencies work together. And so that keeps coming up. And I can't tell you the percentage. I can tell you he was, 80-90% funded by Les Wexner and the Mossad, and the rest of his money on top would be money he's made from using that money. That he's links with the Maxwells means that he has links with MI6, he has links with Mossad, and he has also links with the CIA, because when they first met, Robert Maxwell was being entered into the New York clique, and he'd already been helping out loads of different intelligence agencies all around the world, and of course spreading software and stuff that would be used by intelligence agencies as well. We all know that they're all in the bed together. So how much, what's the percentage? Well, okay, so he's 80-90% funded by the Mossad. Is that because CIA want him to look like he's funded by the Mossad? Can you answer that to me? No one can answer that, because it is probably an unfalsifiable question. You can have an answer to it. So we'll never know. We won't know if it's like, if he was 50% CIA, 50% Mossad, and then how we'd work that out. Well, he's done this and he's done this and this, but you can be sure he's working on American soil. He's intelligence operation. You have to be allowed by the CIA, you have to be allowed to run, if you're a foreign agent, to run that level of operation on American soil, flying around mainly American cities and trafficking throughout America. You have to have confidence that the American agencies are on your side, and that means that the Americans, in my opinion, are more 60% involved, because they're allowing him to do the operation. Without them, the operation would not run. So I think that part of the reason why he's been linked more to the Mossad isn't only for the lack of accountability, to say there won't be Senate hearings or congressional hearings or anything like that, or court cases. That really helps if you say he's the Mossad. But saying that he's both means that you should be able to hold him to accountable in both areas, in Israel, and hold him his actions accountable, and the intelligence agencies accountable in America too, for allowing this to happen. And that's not happening at the moment. And that's the main thing. That's the main reason. And it's so confusing. So I know that nobody knows. I know that from my research that nobody really knows. But I also know that some people tell you they know for sure, 100% he's all Mossad. And those people are always going to be wrong. They also part right, what, 50, 60% right? But the nuance is how, if you see a situation for really what it is, you can find more evidence from that. And you take further paths and you discover more and you discover more links. And all you do is discover that this is a big grey blob of people. Oh, wow. Oh, there's been a few. Yeah, I answered that one. There's been Cat Williams. Was unloading some secrets the other day. If anyone wants some insider info, well, Dub Gasum, who thank you as well, Prototype. Thank you for that. That was a really good question. Really needs to be reiterated. Dub, DM me or send me a message. Tell me who Cat Williams is. I have no idea who she is. And I live in Wales, where everybody's called Davis, Jones, or Williams. So Cat Williams is like every second or third neighbor. Carter Glass, multiple hangouts. Yes, you are a sweet soul, Johnny. Oh, all the best to you. Take no blood money from anyone. Agreed. But that means I don't got no money. Well, actually, Daniel's giving me money and Mama Bear, so thank you, gang. My intuition is actually, I try at one point recently, I was like so scared. I went and tried to sign on, and apparently they told me it's illegal for me to sign on to employment benefits, not because of my like employment status or anything. They just, I don't even know why, but apparently it's illegal for them to give me benefits. So my intuition says they all work for the same person, compartmentalized up the gazoo. To hide the string puller. Yeah, scapegoating, confusion, chaos, and then it all comes together, the Great Reset. Agreed. Eugenics, slavery, same old story. Which families never wanted to let go of slavery model for power and wealth? Yeah, all of the families keep it going. Stealing pension funds, indeed. Maxwell, he was a dirty boy, stealing the Mirror pension funds and then giving it off to Israel. And then Israel, also ripping off Israel, and then ending up dead in the water. No surprise. Does it matter? Says Christine. The simple fact is that they're all connected and complicit. That's what I'm trying to put out. If you allow any of this behavior to happen, then you're complicit, aren't you? And so all the agencies are. Curious what you make of Ghislaine, Borgeson Connection, Terramar, and Congo Metrics. I did some research into Terramar and a tiny little bit of like a scan over Borgeson, but I never got very like into that area because I was always in other areas. So that would be something, Zamatoshi. If you want to come on with me sometime to a space or something, and we can, I can see if I can find some extra people who know about Terramar, Borgeson, and Cargo Metrics, and we can go through that ourselves, and we can come to a conclusion. Maybe I'll write an article at the end. Paulie, if a Dutch politician was corrupted by Epstein, then was forced to sign certain deals, wouldn't that be a crime? Yes. Yes. Yes, it would. But unfortunately, proving those crimes and actually holding them to account, usually they only hold them to account when those people are out of office and almost dead, as we see in both Britain and America happen a lot. Earthier, they're participating in global child trafficking or turning a blind eye. Yeah, yes, they are. They just disguise it over and over, rebrand, rename, same game. Everyone who sold their souls has one job. Pretend like they didn't. Oh, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Well done, Dub. Christine sends a bit of 100%. Easily done in AU. They're willing to let the government, both sides, work together like a Jacob's ladder to the one course. Steal 7 years to fund MOA for MAO course. while in France, only 2 years, Lost Maid, or Rise Up, Fun and Fury. Well, there's a lot of shorthand there, but I tell you what, it made me want to watch that movie, Jacob's Ladder. Do you remember it? Oh, it used to freak me out with the weird guy's face at the end. That was about Vietnam War and drugging. That was very interesting. Prototype makes much sense and explains covering for each other. One fails, threatens to take the others down. Ellen, Addy, yep, Tarabo, Mario, Khaleesi, Kim.com, Ian Miles, Chong, Super Grift Crew. Kim.com contacted me once, wanted to speak to Whitney. I think they were trying to get her on board. Comedian from USA. He was allowed to traffic through Europe, so French, German intelligence agencies help. Yeah, very famous. Cat Williams is a comedian from the States. Oh, is she the one who knows Epstein? Is she the one who used to work for Jean-Luc Brunel as a model? Is that the Cat Williams? American comedian, yes, okay. Adi Ads, I forgot a few like Suleiman Ahmed. Since he was CFR and Trilateral Commission, I lean towards CIA mostly. Me too. If you only know the fact he's born in America, the fact he works in America, the fact he's allowed to do all of this, the fact that most of the people I've researched who caught his plane have massive links to the CIA, that sticks to me. That's why I lean to being like 60% CIA, 30% Mossad, 10% everybody else. But the Mossad absolutists will go crazy on that. Quite funny. You're a non-citizen. I know. Michelson Stein, it's possible that Epstein may have traded information such as videos involved Israeli politicians with the CIA after his arrest. This potential exchange could explain why CIA permitted him to continue his operation. I don't know. Additionally, he might have been able to run his operation by facilitating the exchange of videotapes between Democrats and Republicans. Well, I mean, if we know Acosta's line was, we can't touch him, he's intelligence. And I don't think he meant Israeli intelligence. They wouldn't have gone through all of that for Israeli intelligence. They would have just said, you're under arrest for spying on the thing, because then they got a reason to. It really did feel more like CIA. But again, I was surprised when I saw Jesse Jackson walking into like Trilateral Commission meeting with Kissinger at Fairmont in San Francisco. Jesse Jackson, wow, he's someone who came up in Searching for Stanley with the Martin Luther King episode, of course, and I did a little bit more research than I've done on him before. Very interesting. Didn't know he was trilateral. Congo, it makes sense. Congo Metrics is Kimberley contract, also an O. It's clearinghouse for contraband. Okay, thanks for that. The tunnels was funny though. Which tunnels? Are you talking about the Habad Lubavitch tunnels that they found? That's that. Don't even get me started on that. I'll have me laughing for ages. Genetic Breeding Act 2023 says LTP. JJ as well. I just didn't say hello. Hello, JJ. Mr. Vodka. Thanks, Johnny. No problem, Mr. Vodka. I wonder who you work for. Well, probably no one. You drink too much vodka. The way it will all fall apart is that it is all an illegal operation. They can't win without exposing themselves and their true intentions, and people will always rise as one in unity. Yeah. Okay. Right. I'm nearly finished here. I'm going to have to finish soon. Got my dog moaning at me on the side here. She's like, you're now over an hour and a half. Don't you need? Oh, no, I need to go and sniff the grass outside and come back in because it's too cold. And again, Mario just grifts and steals others' reports. That's most of the people. Once you get up a certain level, most of the people just do that. He doesn't cover anything he steals. Cat is a dude. Cool. Really? All right. Well, there you go. I definitely don't know Cat Williams, but there is that. I don't know what her name is. The lady who does the jokes about working for Jean-Luc Brunel and meeting Epstein. She's interesting as well. Different person I have to watch later, getting a good laugh. Cat Williams is a dude. Cat Williams is an African-American comedian. Hillary calls CFR the mothership. Yes, it's their favourite project of Pride of Joy. Damn bad people. Francis Galton, hello. Francis Galton. Did Ed buck plug Schiff in the bunghole? I suppose did Ed butt plug Schiff in the bunghole? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what all that means, but yes, I would say probably. Thank you for your time, Johnny. Hey, Christine, thank you for being there. Thank you for all the people who are joining me. It's been a good episode. Talking with people and communicating like this. Plagiarism en masse, yes. I think Johnny may mean Kate Blanchett. No, I don't mean Kate Blanchett, but why not? Let's throw it in. What a cunt. Oh, I don't mean it. Do you think anti-Semitism change that prevents people sort of from criticizing Israel contributed to Mossad absolutism? That and Gaza illusion. Yeah, I think there's loads of reasons, but I think some of it comes down to people realizing things like Christianity and stuff. Okay, you can come up here. Oh, sorry, she's gone green with a green screen. Oh, she's slightly green. Yes. Yeah, I think all of that. I think that there's a lot of issues, but I think a lot of it is that Abrahamic religions are really up for the cut when you look back in history and you start realizing what they put people through. There's always room to criticize and claim that people are evil and stuff, and that then all of it comes back to Abrahamic religions, and well, Abraham was a Jew, so etc. I think that's partly what comes back around. When are we hosting another space? Maybe tonight. Maybe we'll go and we'll host another space tonight. I feel like Bella's hair should be in this. Oh, Bella. What's going on? Yeah, I think maybe tonight, me and Champagne Joshi out again, maybe tonight. If not, tomorrow. There should be a final one of these Epstein file Mario rooms tomorrow, which will be about covering what we learned in the files and talking about other stuff. To close out the session, this session, but yeah, me and Joshi are trying to find ways. It's becoming a big counselling group as always, where I think a lot of people feel, and what I hear a lot from these spaces is a lot of mainly women who have been kept out of society, who are not allowed to tell the truth, and are really upset. And they go out and they talk to their friends, and all their friends are stuck in the system. They got their blinkers down. Everybody's watching what's on TV, and so they're completely alone. And they found these spaces for the first time, and we're discovering a lot of people who are saying like, wow, this is the first time I've been able to hear about this, talk about this. And so I think I want to keep being there. I want to keep experiencing that and seeing what comes of it, because I think it's like, I can, of course, explain things quickly at a high level. But I also want to be part of, I suppose it's a bit of a mourning process. We're all in mourning for the lost liberty of the past 5, 6, 7, 75 years, and we start to get a taste of liberty back and a taste of freedom back, and now we're clearly devastated and feel like we've been ripped off, and we realize what's been and what's just happened. Right, okay. I am going to end it there. Will Queen Elizabeth show up on Epstein files? No. Queen Elizabeth and Epstein, they've run off together. They're not dead. They ran off together and they got married. There you go. That's the scoop for you today. And thank you, gang, for joining me on the stream. You can support my work. newspace.com. and johnnyvedmore.com. Buy me a coffee, add on to my Patreon, but most importantly, communicate, interact, be part of it. Come find me on the spaces when I'm on there. Talk, join the lives. Let's all have a conversation. Let's all do a bit of counselling for each other. Ooh, Robbie Dance versus Mary Hacker. Which do you prefer? Well, I'm gonna go with Mary Hacker because okay. Yeah, the Hacker's all right. I've seen a lot of it from being Welsh, so you see a lot of Hacker going on because of the rugby. They do it every single bloody time. I met Jonah Lomu back in the day. He actually, I was going out with a girl at the time, and he threw her mother over his shoulder and ran off with her. It was very funny. But anyway, yeah, I would say the rabbi dance. Every time I watch one of those circular rabbi dancing, I laugh for hours. Anyway, on the counselling point, knowing more of how the pieces seem to fit together helps dissolve fear. Yeah, thank you. Hey, gang, peace out. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for being my friends. Thank you for being my compadres on this journey. And there's more to come. Come find us on the Twitter space if we're there tonight. I'll find out off Joshi a little bit. For the time being, I'm going to take out my dog, and she's going to go around and go, oh my God, I love this. And then go, it's too cold, I want to go back in. So see you soon. Thanks for joining me, gang. Bye. Bye.